So, you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Highlands of Louisville, Kentucky. In this video, we're going to discuss the pros and cons you might want to consider before making that move.
The Highlands has a lot to offer, from incredible architecture, boutiques, restaurants, and all kinds of vibrant nightlife. There's also some aspects of it that you need to know before considering moving to this neighborhood.
If this is your first time joining us, please subscribe below and hit the bell for notifications to stay up to date on all things Louisville, Kentucky. Hey there, everyone. My name's Zach Fry.
And I'm Beth Geiser. Hey, every day we get calls from people just like you. Whether you're moving in 9 months or 9 days, feel free to reach out. All of our contact information is in the description box below. We'd love to hear from you. Now let's get into it.
All right, so we're going to start with the pros here. And Beth and I have both lived in the Highlands. She grew up there, and I currently live in Cherokee Triangle, and it is wonderful. So we're going to get started with some of our favorite things. Beth, would you like to get us started here?
Well, sure. So the Highlands is a traditional urban neighborhood that is walkable, livable, and considered one of the most popular communities in the Louisville market.
Absolutely. A lot of people, when they think of Louisville and they think of a cool neighborhood, like the cool neighborhood,
yes,
that's the first one that's going to come up.
Absolutely.
It's the most established. There's been other neighborhoods that have come up, New Lou, Butchertown, Germantown, but the Highlands is kind of the OG.
It really is. And the Highlands is actually composed of several different smaller neighborhoods. So we have Original Highlands, Phoenix Hill, Irish Hill, Tyler Park, Belknap, Bonnycastle, Highlands Douglas, and our personal favorite,
Cherokee Triangle,
yeah,
where I live. It is beautiful. So one of the best things about living in the Highlands is it is a wonderful historic urban experience, right? It's very walkable.
Yes.
A lot of people want to have a home where they can walk to get coffee, that you can walk to get breakfast. A lot of the Highlands, I would say you can do that.
Absolutely. It really is. It's a neighborhood just nestled in that urban experience.
There's a lot of community spirit in there. A lot of these neighborhoods have their own Facebook groups. They have their own street fairs. They'll have their own progressive dinner parties.
Oh my gosh, right. I grew up in the Highlands, and that was actually something that my parents did with their friends when I was a kid. They would have progressive dinners all the time. So they would have, appetizers at one house, salad at another house, the main course somewhere, and then they'd wrap up and have dessert and drinks at somebody else's house. Yeah, so fun.
So a lot of people interact and kind of watch over each other. There's definitely a sense of community there.
That's right.
And just wonderful community feeling.
Yes, I would agree with that. Now, if you're not about progressive dinners and you want to go out and get a bite to eat, you're in luck, because the Highlands have so many wonderful restaurant choices. There's about a 2.5 mile stretch of Baxter Avenue and Bardstown Road that are absolutely chock full of incredible restaurants. So if you want to have like an eclectic, elevated dining experience at a Louisville institution, you could try Jack Fry's.
Wonderful restaurant. The pork chop there is legendary.
Oh my gosh, it really is, because most people would assume that a pork chop is going to be chewy and tough, and theirs is absolutely fork tender.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so good.
The quintessential Louisville historic restaurant for sure.
And they do. They offer dishes that are associated, I think, with our city. Things like shrimp and grits or a hot brown. Those are dishes that you can get there, and they have a wonderful burger.
Oh yeah, and the Friday lunch is out of sight.
As you can tell, we love to eat.
Yeah. Louisville's a great dining town, and the Highlands is really one of the crown jewels of that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of restaurants along the corridor that offer something. Like Ramsey's Cafe is one of our favorites. There's cuisine from all over the world there.
Yeah, Ramsey's Cafe on the world. They have, I think they claim they have a dish from every cuisine. So virtually any palate can find what they want there. The owner is just a wonderful member of the community. He's beloved, and fantastic environment. The staff has been there a long time. And, one of my favorites.
It's definitely one of the more established restaurants. And then there's also newer concepts up and down Bardstown Road.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the things that you'll hear us talk about, is that Louisville is a city that reinvents itself, and it does it through its restaurants. And one that's a little bit newer is the Eagle.
Oh yeah, some of the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life.
Yep.
And they serve it with a jalapeno honey, which I wouldn't think off the top of my head I would like, but it is fantastic.
Sweet and hot.
They brine that chicken, I think, for a week, and it's really distinct. So highly recommend.
And then there's Holy Grail, which is actually in an old church.
Yeah, that's another local favorite. They have they're a real craft beer specialists.
Yes.
So they even have a bed and I think they call it a beer and breakfast on the property next door, and they just take great care. Everything they prepare is just comes out. Their quality control is just exceptional.
Yeah, this is just a sampling of some of the incredible restaurants that are just all along that 2.5-mile stretch of Baxter Avenue, Bardstown Road.
Yeah, we have pizza galore. If you're a pizza lover, I mean, there's some wonderful established local pizzerias like Wix Pizza, Impellizzeri's, Boomba's, Zaz, Birno's Pizza. We've got just had one open recently from Brooklyn called Weeded. So lots of great pizza options for the family.
Yep, all really walkable from some of those core neighborhoods right there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, now one of our next favorite things about the Highlands is its proximity to Cherokee Park. Now, Cherokee Park is one of the over a dozen Frederick Law Olmsted parks that we have here. Now, Frederick Law Olmsted was the landscape architect that designed Central Park in New York City.
That's right.
And it is, out of all the Olmsted parks in Louisville, I think a lot of the locals it might be contested in certain parts of town, but I'd say a lot of people would say Cherokee is kind of the crown jewel just because it's so centrally located, and so it has a really high local usership, but it's over 400 acres. Cherokee Park has lots of wonderful amenities. It does have a golf course. It is a 9-hole golf course. However, right next door to Seneca, they have an 18-hole golf course. It's got walking trails, mountain biking trails.
Yes.
They're even open to equestrian use. Occasionally you'll see people out there on horses. Frisbee field, lots of frisbee and hacky sack going on there. Behringer Hill, which is also one of the best.
Well, it's one of the best hills for sledding in the wintertime.
Oh yeah.
Behringer Hill is more familiarly known as Dog Hill. So a lot of people take their dogs there and they'll like throw the ball to their dog and the dog will chase the ball down the hill and then run back up. It's a great way to get your pet exercise. But in the wintertime, when we have a big snowfall like we've had this year, you'll see everybody out on their sleds. Kids and adults alike will be sledding really all hours of the day.
It's really super social and one of those really beautiful Americana things that just harkens back to a simpler time. Everybody up there sledding. So if you're here when Louisville gets some snow, make sure you get up to Dog Hill or Behringer Hill. For some reason, it's become a place where they have a lot of boot camps in the morning.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
Also one of my favorite places to watch the sunrise when I do a morning loop in the park after.
There's a lovely pavilion there, and if you're looking out east from the pavilion, you see that sun come up, and it's just pretty breathtaking, really. One of our favorite aspects of Cherokee Park would be the walking loop. This is a little bit over 2 miles.
Wonderful.
Yes, and it's such a wonderful walk. It's hilly in areas and flat in others, so it's a really nice workout. And it's scenic and beautiful. There's wildlife everywhere throughout the park.
Oh, deer everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's just not uncommon to see, herds of deer, squirrels running around. People are out walking, friends are taking walks together, families are out on walks, people take their dogs out on walks.
Nice big mature trees.
Yes.
A lot of people will have their fall photo shoots or wedding photos or engagement photos or any kind of family or graduation photos taken there, because it's just so easily accessible and just such a wonderful little piece of nature right in the middle of the city.
It really is. Cherokee Park is definitely one of our crown jewels.
Absolutely. All right, you all, we are real estate lovers, and the Highlands is home to some of the most beautiful historic homes in Louisville. Lots of Victorian homes, beautiful ornate brick masonry work, arts and crafts bungalows.
Oh yeah.
They just abound, and they just go on for miles and miles.
And what's so great about those homes too is really none of them are the same as the other.
No.
Every house has its own unique features. Even you can have 2 clapboard houses right next to each other, and they're gonna have absolutely distinctive features to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they just have so many wonderful qualities, like inlaid floors.
Oh yeah. They'll have pocket doors, floor-to-ceiling pocket doors separating the rooms.
Yeah, the beautiful glass doorknobs.
Yep. High ceilings are really common in those homes, and lots of fireplaces too.
Lots of fireplaces and historic crown moldings.
Yes. They're really an architectural wonder. Any street that you're on, the homes are just going to be gorgeous and unique. Now, if you're looking for something fun to do in the Highlands, you don't really have to look too far because, as we talked about before, there's so many different little festivals and events that take place. Many of them take place maybe within the street or a block, but many of them take place right along Bardstown Road and Baxter Avenue. One of our favorites is Bardstown Road Aglow.
Oh, yeah.
This takes place at Christmas time, and it's such a great time. Like, everybody walks up and down the streets, and the shop owners really have like an open house feel. So people walk in and out of the shops, and they're offering like cookies and maybe a little bit of cider. Everything is so dolled up and adorable for the holidays, and it's just a great time. People are out on the streets, and you will run into everybody you know.
Oh, very social.
Yeah.
They'll usually set like a table out front with maybe a crock pot with some hot cider, maybe some spiced cookies, brownies, something like that. Just a very festive, family-friendly, wholesome, small town feeling event. So Bardstown Road Aglow is really a kickoff to the holiday season in the Highlands.
That's right.
And we just can't recommend it enough. Now, one of our other favorites is not in the winter, but it's called Louisville, where they actually will shut down a little over a mile of Bardstown Road, and it's shut down for people for cyclists, people on bikes, scooters, families. Will just walk and have their Bluetooth speakers, and it just turns into a whole social event.
Yeah, Bardstown Road is normally very busy with a lot of car traffic, and to have it be shut down for a period of time where you can walk around the street and not worry about traffic is just unreal.
Yeah, it really inspires a real sense of community and adventure and all the participants.
Yeah.
And it really helps us feel closer as a community. So it might sound kind of basic at first, but when you attend it, it really is a lot more special than it sounds initially.
And you don't have to be a cycling enthusiast yourself to actually enjoy it. Like, people are just out there, walking around and having a great time.
Walking on unicycles, you name it, skateboards, roller skates. It's really just about spending time with and getting to know your neighbors.
Absolutely. Another event that is maybe surprising to people is the zombie walk.
So much fun.
Yep. This takes place in August. You would think maybe it would coincide with Halloween, but it doesn't, because we don't do anything like we should in the Highlands, right?
But if you imagine just about any costume you can imagine for Halloween, take that times a zombie.
Yes.
So you might see Santa Claus zombie. You might see Jesus zombies. You might see nurse zombies. Really, whoever is the popular cultural icon of the year, zombified.
You'll see children in zombie costumes and pets in zombie costumes.
Oh, whole families of zombies.
That's right.
And everybody kind of has a different impression of what a zombie, looks like and sounds like, but everybody gets into character, and it's really, it's hilarious. It's tons of fun, and 5 stars, would recommend.
Yes, lots of fun, unexpected and irreverent. Fits right on in with that Highlands culture.
Absolutely. It's just funky, weird, and independent, and that's really kind of the credo of the Highlands.
I would say so, yes.
One of our next favorite events in the Highlands is the St. Patrick's Parade. Now, it almost never falls actually on St. Patrick's weekend. It's almost never on the 17th.
Right.
So it's usually before, and it's on a Saturday, and people come to the Highlands by the tens of thousands.
It is packed.
And it's really the kickoff to spring.
It is, yeah.
Sometimes we look out and get some good weather, but occasionally it's cold and rainy. But families are out there and they endure it. And they'll have, bagpipe bands and the local Hibernian Society and all kinds of local businesses put on all their ornamentation and merriment, and throw out candy and all kinds of beads and stuff. And people just lined up because Lower Baxter Avenue has 3 Irish bars, and they just get mobbed. They call it the Irish Triangle.
That's right. All right, the last festival, and probably our favorite of all time, is the Cherokee Triangle Art Fair.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is the convergence down where Willow Avenue, Cherokee Parkway, and Cherokee Road all come together.
Willow Park.
Willow Park, that's right. Now, when I was a kid and I grew up on Willow Avenue, this art fair also happens to coincide with my birthday. And I loved nothing more than getting up as a little kid and walking down the street, and there was a whole art fair down there. And I would spend the entire weekend just running around with my friends, and my mom had a booth, and my dad was involved and trustee of the fair. And it was just such a great time. And I love that this tradition has continued for decades.
Yeah.
Decades indeed. But it is just one of the best art fairs and festivals I think that we have going on in the city, and certainly I think the crown jewel of the Highlands.
Absolutely. It's really grown. I believe it was established in the mid to late 70s. And the neighborhood association there does a great job of curating artists from all over the country. And if the St. Patty's Day Parade is really the kickoff to spring, the Cherokee Triangle Art Fair really kicks that up a notch or two.
It does, and it precedes Derby.
Yes, it's always the Saturday before Derby, so it's almost always really warm weather. So people are out there, very social. A lot of people have open houses who live in the area. There's always live music and just great arts and crafts, face painting, caricature artists, but also some really nice high art. So there's really something for every budget. It's not just expensive art or cheap arts and crafts. So
a lot of people actually will spend part of their Christmas gift budget there at the art fair.
Oh, absolutely. There's some wonderful artists who that's the only time you're going to see them in town for that year.
Yep.
And they've really made a name for themselves. They'll come back to that festival year after year. And they don't just take any artist. They're really good about...
It's a juried show.
Absolutely. That's really qualifying all the entrants.
It's definitely one that you don't want to miss. It's the Cherokee Triangle Art Fair. It's the last weekend in April and the weekend before Derby. All right, so we've talked a lot about Bardstown Road and Baxter Avenue and how that is just a repository for so many great restaurants. There's certainly a lot of bars along there. Also along those streets are great boutiques and galleries. So many shops.
The general feel of the Highlands is very unique, homegrown, funky. These little boutiques, you're not going to find, made in China stuff. These are going to be, they're going to be stocked with all kinds of wares from local artisans, jewelry makers, potters, textile artists, and just you name it, you're going to find it there.
It's really one of my favorite things to do is just to stroll up and down Bardstown Road on a nice day or an evening and just pop in and out of all the shops and see what's new. Because the inventory turns over. And there's all kinds of different things that you can find in there, maybe some little treasure that you didn't see a time before. Oh yeah, there's some good import shops, some good resale shops. There's some retailers there that have just found some really cool lines that I just don't think you're going to see anywhere else. They're just really well curated. And there's some definite anchor businesses that have been here for decades and decades. One that comes to mind is Leatherhead. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, this is a fantastic place where you can find beautiful leather jackets, wonderful assortment of leather boots, hats, all kinds of accessories. When I was a kid, actually, I would even get real horse tack there. Oh, wow. Yep. And the owners are real local legends, and they're just beloved. So if you go in there, you're going to see all kinds of photographs with celebrities from all over the world who make it a point to go visit the Boons when they are here in Louisville, go to Leatherhead. So if you are looking for some unique gifts or just a great shopping experience, you can't go wrong just hitting the pavement, walking up and down Bardstown Road and Baxter Avenue. 100%. All right, now one of our last favorite things about the Highlands is the tree canopy. So with these homes being built, most of them in the late 1800s to early 1900s, a lot of these trees were planted over 100 years ago. So they are, 3-4 feet in diameter, 60, 80 feet or more, and it just provides for wonderful canopy and shade. It's wonderful filtered light, and it's just sublime. There really is nothing like it in the springtime when the leaves just kind of pop out. And I think that actually coincides a lot with the Cherokee Triangle Art Fair. It's right about that time of year when everything comes into bloom. And it feels so incredibly lush and beautiful in the Highlands. Absolutely. So if they have the Cherokee Triangle Art Fair the Saturday before Derby, which is always the first Saturday in May, the trees here usually bloom about the second or third week of May. So a lot of people have been cooped up in their house all winter, and the grass is brown and the trees have been barren, and all of a sudden they just are verdant and just explode with green leaves everywhere, and it really inspires a feeling of spring fever in everyone. It really does. Yeah. I feel like everybody just comes out of their shell and they're so excited. There's this just air of positivity everywhere because we're just living in this nature, and it feels fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. It's really a nice thing as a homeowner too to have that tree canopy. It does offer a lot of shade. It does really help with some of those cooling costs, because it offers that shade over your house and just keeps the energy costs down. Absolutely. All right, now we've told you some of the pros about living in the Highlands. Now we're going to tell you some of the other side of the coin. Just like every neighborhood, it can't be 100% good. So we're straight shooters here. We're going to talk about some of the
cons.
Yep.
Can you get us kicked off here with that, Beth?
Sure. All right. Well, we've talked a lot about Bardstown Road and Baxter Avenue as being some of our favorite stretches in the Highlands. And with that also comes congestion.
Yep.
There is a lot of traffic up and down the street. It's really has increased tremendously over the years, and it brings a noise factor too. While you can dine outside at some of those restaurants, I will tell you it's loud. And there's just so much traffic now up and down. And so it brings, more noise, more pollution, and just even makes it a little bit less safe trying to cross the road sometimes.
Yeah, local government has tried to mitigate the traffic congestion problem a little bit by putting curb bump outs with flower beds in them. We get a lot of destination diners from all over the city,
right?
But there also has been an element of cruising that started to happen. So
yes,
they're starting to cut down on that. But if you're in a hurry and they're trying to discourage cutting through the Highlands, cutting through Bardstown Road. So it's just something to consider if you're using a mapping app like Google Maps or Waze, and it'll probably route you around it because it can get pretty backed up.
It really can, and parking can really be a nightmare too. So for people who maybe want to come into the Highlands from another part of the city and they want to enjoy the restaurants and the shops and the nightlife that we've talked about, parking can be really tough to find.
Yeah,
you have to be patient about it.
Absolutely. But we also have a lot of wonderful car services like Lyft and Uber.
Right.
There's gobs of drivers. So a lot of people, when they go out, it's pretty inexpensive. They'll just get an Uber or a Lyft, get dropped off where they want to get dropped off and have their dinner, catch a ride home, especially if they're, enjoying some of our wonderful local bourbon that some people travel here for.
Don't drink and drive.
So just something to consider if you're going out in the Highlands.
Yep.
All right, another thing to consider in the Highlands is because it is so established with so many businesses that have been there for a long time, there's a lot of foot traffic, there's a lot of car traffic, it's become a place where the homelessness has become a bit of an issue. Local services hasn't really caught up yet with that. So I would say it's fair to say that that's pretty common in the busiest part of really just about any city. Yeah, so there's not particularly a problem with any violence around that, but it is something to consider. You will see some occasional homeless people, and there's some panhandling from time to time. So just don't let that catch you off guard if you do decide to visit Bardstown.
Right. If you maybe were dining outside at a restaurant or just even walking up and down the street, it wouldn't be uncommon to be approached by somebody, asking for money.
Yeah, it does happen.
Sure. So now one of the downsides of the Highlands, because I know we've made it sound so amazing to live here, but one of the downsides is that it's expensive.
Oh yeah, it used to be a great place for people to get starter homes, and it was affordable to more people. The prices have absolutely skyrocketed. It's not uncommon to see, over $250, $350, even $400 a square foot.
Yes. So when my parents sold their house on Willow Avenue, the 1200 block of Willow Avenue, and they sold it in the mid-'80s, they sold it for less than $70,000.
Oh my gosh. That would probably
a three-story Victorian.
Yeah, that would probably be worth anywhere from $700,000 to $900,000 now.
Yep, absolutely. So it does make it difficult to get into the neighborhood. It's not as accessible. Now, with that said, there are definitely plenty of gems throughout the Highlands that are affordable. By and large, the home prices have increased dramatically in the Highlands.
So another thing with these historic homes is they tend to be closer together.
Yes.
So that's something to consider. Sometimes you might be able to see into your neighbor's, inside of your neighbor's house.
Yep.
So.
Hey, Bob, put the blue tie on.
Yes, it's important, have curtains. This can also create issues with water drainage because water always follows the path of least resistance.
Right.
So these houses are just, anywhere from 6 to 10 feet apart. Of course, there are exceptions. There are houses on bigger lots, but we are just painting in broad brush strokes here. You're going to notice a lot of the houses are really close together.
They sure are. And the homes in the Highlands also rarely have an attached garage, if they have one at all. So it's not uncommon that you are going to access your garage via an alley, and then you will come in through, an accessory door on the back of the garage to get into the backyard and up to your house that way. So it's uncommon, like many people are so accustomed to a suburban home that has an attached garage, and you can just easily just grab your groceries or your kid and pop right up into your, your breezeway or through the laundry room or whatever into the kitchen. It's just not like that in the Highlands. If you're lucky enough to have a garage, it will be in the back of the house, accessible via an alley.
Now there are some mid-century exceptions to this, of course. So there are some houses that do have traditional driveways and attached garages, but by and large, those are going to be the exception, not the rule. A lot of these historic homes, some of them just have street parking, maybe have an off-street parking pad in the back.
Yep, that's right. Another con to living in an older neighborhood with historic homes can be closet size.
They're small.
Yeah, and the number of closets.
Yeah, at the time these homes were built, closets were taxed. So a lot of people had armoires and bureaus. And so sometimes you'll see these big houses that have really minimal closets because it just wasn't, they just weren't as common at that time. So if you're thinking big walk-in closets, you will find exceptions for people who've gone in and gutted these houses and completely redone the floor plan. So by and large, smaller closets.
Yep, and smaller rooms.
Yeah, there are exceptions to that rule too, but by and large, people didn't have, California king size beds at this time. So smaller rooms were also easier to heat.
Yes.
And so that's something to consider if you're looking at some. Again, some of them have been opened up, but by and large, you're going to see smaller bedrooms in these older homes.
Yes, and also, speaking of an amenity that you might want and you may not get is a basement or a finished basement.
That's right. They just didn't finish basements the way we do so commonly now. So a lot of the houses are like 30% cellar, 60% crawl. The ones that do have basements will have shorter ceilings. I have seen some people do some pretty amazing things with them and finish them. And I have seen the occasional late 1800s house with a basement that does have great ceiling height that is finishable. But those are a rare commodity.
Yeah. By and large, that's just something that you're not going to find a lot of in the Highlands.
All right, another thing that's really common in some of these older homes is they just use different materials. So you're going to see things like slate roofs, box gutters, plaster walls. They're all a little more difficult and costly to maintain. There's not as many people, not as many artisans that can really work on these kind of things anymore. When you do find them, they tend to be a little bit more expensive, but they are absolutely gorgeous. When you see a slate roof, it is just beholden. But some people have torn these things off.
So sometimes there'll be a renovation on a home and they will remove the plaster walls, and then if you're lucky, they've replaced some of the plumbing systems and some of the electricity, and then they've re-insulated the home and put in drywall. Because I tell you, there's nothing worse than you go to hang up a picture and then a whole section of the plaster collapses on the floor. It's happened to me.
It does happen. So this is an older mode of construction, but again, a fair amount of these houses have been gutted and have drywall in them now. People have at times removed box gutters and put in a traditional guttering system. But at one time they did have those older systems, sometimes radiant heat, knob and tube electricity, but a lot of that's really coming to an end. So that will be rare, but it is something to consider.
If you're looking at a home and it has some of these features in it, that's where you want to work with an experienced team like us. We have a lot of credentials and experience with older homes, and we can help you point out, the features that you need to consider. And of course, a great home inspection will also be critical.
We've lived in these neighborhoods for decades and sold several hundred homes. We have a very high comfort level and familiarity with what's common, what's customary, what's typical, what isn't, what's something to maybe walk away over, or what's something that can really be easily addressed.
Well, that's it, I think, today for our pros and cons of the Highlands.
Thanks again for tuning in, you all. If there's anything that you think we forgot, please let us know in the comments below. We also have left all of our contact information, so if you're thinking about moving to the Highlands, feel free to call, text, email, or our favorite,
Google Meet.
Until then, make it a great day.
Bye, everybody.